Hey everybody, today is the Inner Balance Journey 1, and today we are going to do an exploration. We're going to explore being in balance, being out of balance, and then coming back to balance again, just so we can see where is it that you feel the most balanced. And to know that, you have to kind of get out of balance and then come back. So a quick little exercise that you can do is go ahead and stand up. Feel your feet when you're standing up. And now put all of your weight, like lean forward onto the front part of your feet. And almost get to the point where you have to do like this. Don't fall over. Just get to the point where it's like uncomfortable. Okay, then come back to center. And maybe do that again. Go forward again. And then return to the center. And now let's try the opposite. Let's try leaning all the way back into your heels until you go like this, and then come back to center. And then try it again, all the way back to the heels, and then back to center. And then there's another thing you can try where you're standing up straight, and then you just lean a little bit to the left of your feet. Go to the left of your feet until you feel like that's not your center. And then come back and then go to the other side and come back. And then just play around with that. Move forward, back, left, right, until you can finally find the most perfect just for you center. This will be different because everybody's feet is different. So this is your unique center. Go ahead and play around. Get comfortable in the center of your feet. And now we're going to try another thing. Think about your middle toe, the third toe. Okay? Nobody really thinks about their toes that much. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk around the room with this new balance that you found. You've recalibrated your balance, and you're going to try when you're walking, when you push off from your toe, when you're walking, when you push off the front of your foot, make sure you're balanced on your third toe. So each time you step, third toe, third toe, third toe. And now you can make this into a walking meditation if you're out in nature. You could also, once you've done all of that out in nature and made your neighbors think that you're super weird and wondering what you're doing, feel free to share it with them and take them on the walk with you. But there's another thing you can do. You can try to see when you find your center and you're walking over your third toe balanced, how does that affect your ankle? Does it? Does it not? I don't know. How does it affect your knees? Are your knees a little bit different, like the muscles you're using? And then you go up to your hip area. And this is the most thing that I love to do when I'm thinking about it, is because, and I'll tell you why after. So it's like, these are your hips, right? So when you're walking, does your hip go down and forward? So does it go down and forward? Is there like a rotation with your hip when you're walking? Like, pay attention. And I know for me, the reason I really like thinking about this is because my hips are a little messed up. So like one will go down and around and the other one does something different. So I also, like, currently right now I'm crossing my legs, so that doesn't help. But this is like what you can do is when you're walking, just pay attention to the steps you're taking, pay attention to your third toe. How are your body mechanics working? And that's called a walking meditation. And then when you're out on your nature walk, you can say, you can ask yourself these questions, which we're going to do right now. What disrupts your balance physically when you're walking? It can be things you stub your toe on. Could be uneven ground. Could be lots of different things. And so think about, like, physically, what disrupts your balance. Like if you're just walking around Is it that maybe it's a distraction? Maybe you were looking somewhere else and you didn't notice that there was a bench in front of you. That would disrupt your balance. That's a true story from the San Diego Zoo from one of my family members. Also, if you're looking down and you don't notice that there's, something right here, you might hit your head. So yeah, I would say things that I've noticed with myself and my family. Speaking of disruptors, and one thing that I've noticed from my family is that it's when things aren't put right in the house. Like my husband, I can guarantee you, excuse me while I have this. That's funny. Spirit has a sense of humor. My whole microphone system just fell off the table. It's like, talk about... Anyways, we'll do it a different way. Okay, let's see if this works. Can't believe it just fell apart. Okay. We'll try it like this. See if it's balanced. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so things that my family have noticed. If there's a distraction, if there's clutter, if something is there that wasn't there before, uneven ground, all sorts of things. So you think about those things when you're walking, and then also think about what helps balance. What helps your inner balance, like what feeds it. And I would think, being like in your mindset, not thinking of like 4 or 5 different things. I would think maybe thinking of just one thing, which is like walking. So I would guess mindfulness would be it. But this is for you to figure out. So what are some things that feed your balance? What are the things that disrupt your balance? And, how can you foster that relationship just even with the physical? Okay. And now we're going to go into the balance. This is my symbol for balance, and it can teeter-totter. And this reminds me of, when you're younger and you try to balance a book on your head in the sea. This symbol for me is just telling us, just like with the foot exercise, is to see how, how can you get out of balance so when you are in balance, if that makes any sense. Like just practicing. Because everybody's just like, oh, balance is balance. But what if you need to recalibrate what your balance is? So think of this symbol while we're meditating. We're going to think of this symbol. Okay, so that's that symbol. And then this is the other symbol. They said I can show it to you right now. It's a plus sign. And each side of the plus sign is either for the spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical balance. Because there's 4 parts of you. And more probably. So we're going to think of that plus sign at the end of the journey, of the meditation. So we are going to go ahead, get comfortable, make sure nothing's going to fall. Everything around you is in balance. And make sure that this is where I'm going to mess it up again. Just don't want to make sure it's pushing a button on my laptop. Okay, we're good. Okay, so go ahead and relax. Take a deep breath in. Let your day go. Let your day go. Breathe in love. Breathe in love. Breathe in support. Breathe in support. Now, if you had this beautiful scale inside of you, where would it live, do you suppose? Just start at the top of your head. Use your hands too. Just intuitively go, like if I had a scale that told me where my balance was, and this will be different for everybody. See if your hands end up on a place on your physical body where this balance wants to live right now, right here and right now. It can be the front part, the back part, it could be your shoulders. And if you don't get a hit on any of these spots intuitively, it's always good to go for the, heavy hitters like the heart, the stomach. Mine want to be my shoulders. Because when you're going through your day and your shoulders might go up a little higher if you have stress, anxiety, frustrations, not taking care of yourself. So it's like your body's trying to tell you, the shorter your neck gets, maybe take some self-care. So wherever it is that you place the scale, let's play around with it, okay? Putotanamashi nana yiwa kinanana shiwa 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 shiwa. Yenana yiwa shiwa 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 shiwa. Kina yiwush tanana yiwa kinama shiwa shiwa shiwa. So they're bringing me to a piece of cork or a piece of light driftwood. And they're showing me it on a body of water. And how it's moving. Like the water underneath is this beautiful fluid. And the piece of wood, it's going along for the ride. Now they're showing me a bigger piece of wood and how different it is from the light wood. So if you've got this light floating wood like cork, the bark of the cork tree, or the the weathered driftwood, those just float and go along. But if you have like a log or maybe a piece of construction floating around, it has a different buoyancy. They're saying both are good. Going with the flow is really good, but there's also a lesson from the heavier stuff. The heavier stuff that comes along too. And you have to figure out how, when the heavy stuff comes, you have to figure out how to play around with the buoyancy. Almost as if when so let's just say, if you're remembering what the triangle and the line, the balance symbol, so let's just say if it goes like this, they're saying that that's okay when the heavy things come. That's natural. If the scale is going like this when the heavy things come, just think of that heavier piece of wood in the water. 1, it's still floating. 2, it has its own own frequency, its own weight, and it's kind of finding a relationship with this heavy thing, the water, the heavy wood. It's trying to figure out what its relationship is. So sometimes it's nice if something heavy comes your way, it's just really nice to have another way to think about it. So if this symbol helps you, feel free to use it, or as always, you can change it up a little bit to whatever comes to your mind as well. So let's pretend we have something heavy. That might be easy for some people because life is a little challenging right now, okay? So think of this water inside, wherever it is that your scale is. Think of the water, think of the buoyancy. And now we need to have a relationship. Our scale is heavier. One side or the other, and maybe it moves back and forth. is it possible to slow the waves down so it's slower? Kunana yena mauki, yena maukai. They're showing me that there's an ant on top of the wood. Imagine yourself as this like either little person, this little ant, and it's like how hard it is when it's going like this super fast with the big waves of this heavy thing. Tutanana shewa shewa shewa, the bigger waves. They're saying that the ant, is kind of like, do I go here? Do I go here? Do I go here? Do I go here? So inner balance exploration journey 1 is how do we slow down the tilt instead of it going cuckoo crazy? That happens when we're spiraling. When something happens and we're just like, spiral, 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 spiral. And even though you might realize that you're spiraling, it's really hard to stop the spiral, especially if it's something that you've learned maybe from generations before you. Sometimes it's hard to pull out of the spin, even if you know you're in it. So here we go. We're seeing the log going fast, back and forth. It's kind of stormy. Things are heavy. Kinana shewa shewa shewa. They must be enjoying the story of the ant and the elephant because now they're saying, pretend the elephant is on the log. And I'm like, okay, you get to choose what's on your log. Kanana shinanana ye mauki. How would you slow the storm down inside of you? You can't control that heavy thing that came into your life, but you can control like how fast it goes this way and how fast it goes that way. Kanana shewa. Play around with how you can slow it down. Kanana shewa. Good, good, good. We're just going to check in with the spine. They're showing me the spine right now. Kunana shewa shewa shewa. Inana yewa shewa shewa. So going from the top of your head down. Spiraling. We're going to do this as a beautiful little Tesla coil to ground ourselves. There's a coil going right down your spine, right on the outside of it. Kinana yewa shewa shewa. Going down, going down, going down, going down, grounding you, and also releasing things that do not belong to you or may not be working for you anymore. Checking in with your spine. All is well. Checking in with the log. Good. So pay attention. When you're physically walking, you've already figured out what affects your physical. And hopefully by now you've had a couple, 1 to 2 ideas of how to feed the scale. Like for instance, if you're really sad about something, and you're leaning more towards sadness than like super balanced, and if you find yourself there for maybe a little bit longer than you think is healthy, what can you do to put on the other side of sadness? Like watching a funny movie, reaching out to a friend, nature walks, cuddling with dogs, those sorts of things. So you have that beautiful, beautiful scale. So that's the physical. Now we have this. This is a really interesting scale because instead of just one straight line on this symbol, now we have 4. So we've talked about the physical, and then there's the mental, emotional, spiritual. So those are the things I would like for you to next to think about. Okay? So if you could journal about what the disruptors are for your physical body, the spiritual, mental, emotional. What are the disruptors for those? Those are the 4 parts of you. Okay? So we'll talk more about this in journey number 2. Okay? So while we're right here, let's close our eyes. I want to show you a place where you can go to meet up with your inner teacher. Close your eyes and get back into your body. Rock back and forth and find your balance, your sit bones. Imagine yourself looking down at your feet and wiggle your toes. Excuse me. Wiggling your toes and then seeing by your toes that you're noticing that you're like in a dark room, and then you look a little bit further out from your toes, still in a dark room. Go further and you notice that there's curtains, these blackout curtains all around you. Just shutting out any disturbances, any distractions. This is you in your special dark room. And you can sit here and just listen to the silence. Figure out how to not be distracted. If an idea comes up, or a memory, or a to-do, just say hello to it and let it float right away. You can pick that up later. This is a place to let your day go. It's a place for you to just come that's nice and quiet, and it's all yours. You can even decorate it if you want to. If the blackout curtains, you can bring some things in that bring you comfort if they're not distracting. I'm seeing someone might have a couch, a comfortable couch they can sit on. And as you're sitting there or standing there, you can invite your inner teacher to come in. And it's okay if you know what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, what it feels like, what it doesn't feel like. If you get nothing, that's really something. And if you get something, that's good too. So you're in this beautiful silent room, and you can connect with your inner teacher or your guides or a loved one that might have stepped out of the physical. It's a beautiful place to just empty your mind and receive. And you can even ask your inner teacher to come closer. Come closer still. Come join this quiet time. And you can ask your inner teacher, is there anything that you can do for them? Anything that would make them happy? And you can ask them a question. Go ahead and ask them any question that you want. Whether you see them, feel them, regardless. If you have a question, go ahead and ask. I'm going to be working on your ears while you're waiting for the answer. Oh na 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 ye mama ye mama ye mama ye mama ye mama ye. Oh Shiva oh Shiva oh Shiva. Ye nama oh Shiva. Oh ye nama Shiva ukai. Ye nama ye. Ye nama ye. Ye nama uki kana ye wai. Kana ye wa shima ye. Spend a few more minutes with the energy. And you can come back here and pause the video or do this on your own so you can spend more time here learning, being quiet. finding your inner balance. Potatana shewa. And it's time to say goodbye to the room and to the people. You're walking backwards, and you look at your toes, and you wiggle your toes, and you're back in your body. Welcome back. Just a reminder, think about the things that disrupt your balance, whether it's in the physical, spiritual, emotional, or mental. The more you foster these relationships and explore what does out of balance feel like and what does balance feel like, the better recalibration that you'll have. Because just think of maybe life as a boxing ring, okay? And you got hit a couple of times by life. Got hit here, you threw a couple great punches, you got hit here, you may not be able to walk straight after that. You need to recalibrate what your balance is. And hopefully that makes sense. You can always email me at tutaspeaks@gmail.com or leave a comment here on the YouTube channel. And I'll be checking those quite frequently. And look forward to journey number 2. This one was all about exploration, so I wonder what the next one will be. Have a great day.